Emma Roberts and Nat Wolff.
I was lucky enough to see this movie in Telluride, which was was Venice the absolute beginning of it?
We went to Telluride and Venice and then Toronto. But yeah.
So we also have Emma Roberts and Nat Wolff. This is Gia Coppola. This is your first feature film, Gia, but you started out with some shorts. Talk about how you found out that you actually belonged in the filmmaker side of the Coppola family.
I studied photography in college, and when I graduated, I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, and I went to bartending class, and I worked in a restaurant, and I also was just making kind of little short films for my friends' fashion companies on the side with, just because it felt like an extension of photography, but more elements to play with. And then when I met James, he had his book, and he was looking for a director, and I had sent him some of my photographs, and I loved his book, and I think he felt my photographs were right to make his book into a feature-length film, but that wasn't really in my mindset quite yet, and yeah, he kind of took me through it step by step and trusted me, and then that was history.
Tell me about the first time you saw the script, Emma. What was your reaction?
Well, I had actually read the book, like literally the day it came out. Like I went to the bookstore and they were putting it on the table, and I was so curious about it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And then when I found out it was being made into a movie, I was like, I have to read the script immediately. I have to be a part of this. And I read the script, and it's like one of the only scripts I can say that I like love just as much as the book, and in like different ways. And Gia did such a good job of like blending all the characters together and intertwining all the stories, and I just absolutely loved it.
How about you, Nat?
Yeah, I was blown away. I hadn't read the book actually when I first got the script, and I was just blown away by how real all the characters were. You know, nobody was black and white. You know, it was all every single character in the movie was fully fleshed out, and you see all these movies where, or you read all these scripts where the characters are too clever. You know, these high school movies where the kids
You're
talking.
allowed to be stupid?
Oh no! And then you see the movies where the director seems like they're making fun of them, but this seems in the middle. You know, it's like just taking these kids seriously.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how would you describe the changes that you made between the two stories and the script, and how would you describe how James helped you?
Well, I was working with short stories, so I had to kind of fill in the blanks and be imaginative at times, but the way James kind of guided me through this was to pick the stories that I liked the most and make a screenplay for each one of those stories. And so once I did that, he kind of said, okay, take one of those stories and make a little test film with your friends, and don't worry about what it looks like, just kind of hear the dialogue off the page and see what's working and what's not. And in that kind of process, I discovered that the best way to maybe tell this story is to make it more of an ensemble piece and combine the characters and to fit for the screen. He gave me a lot of freedom to have my own interpretation, and that's what he kind of wanted. And but he was very supportive and when I needed it.
So, did you know he was going to play a part in the movie?
He's one of my favorite actors, so I really wanted him to play a part, but I was too afraid to ask. I didn't know if it was weird for him since he wrote the book, and then eventually I was just like, I gotta just at least try, and he was really nice about it and said yes.
So how difficult was it to set it up as a feature film and get the financing?
It was really difficult. It took it's been 5 years since we've been trying to get it going, and yeah, I mean, there were a lot of obstacles in the way, and I don't think, people wanted to really invest in someone that hadn't really made anything and was young, and but James really stuck by my side and believed in me, and we waited until, we could figure it out.
So, Emma, your role is pivotal here, and how much did you feel that this was really close to the way kids really are? Did that affect you in terms of its authenticity?
I thought all the characters were very authentic. I mean, when I was reading the script and even when we were filming, it's like they all felt very familiar. Like I had went to school with these people and they reminded me of some of my friends' siblings, and even the parent roles just kind of resonated. And that's one of the things I loved so much about the script, was that it was so authentic, and everybody looked like real people too, which I loved. I mean, it was like, I loved not wearing any makeup and just like going to work as kind of myself, and that was awesome to get to do that.
Was there a particular scene that you approached with more fear and anxiety than any other? What would that be?
Well, I mean, obviously, I know what you're alluding. Probably the love scenes. That was definitely kind of awkward, but it's less awkward than people think, because there's like 30 people in the room, and it's definitely not what it looks like on screen.
How about you, Nat? I mean, every actor looks at a movie and reads the script and goes, "Oh, this one's gonna be rough."
Yeah. Probably Emma's love scenes. No, I'm just kidding. For me, it was probably, yeah. For me, it was probably like doing the scenes with Zoe. I had all these scenes with Zoe where I'm kind of being awful to this girl who's, sweet and kind of messed up, and I'm sort of taking advantage of her. And those were kind of painful days. Fun in the way that she's a great actress and we had fun doing the scenes, but just some of the things that, we both felt really uncomfortable about it.
All right, this is a good time to run a clip. Let's show a little piece of the movie. So talk about the casting process. You knew you had James, but what were you looking for, and why were these two the right ones? And Jack Kilmer as well, son of Val.
Well, with Emma, it just kind of, I always say it was like kind of cosmic, because I had known her kind of loosely, but I was a fan of her movies, and I loved her in Scream and Celeste and Jesse. But we just kept kind of running into each other, and she just kind of kept popping into my head or in random conversations, and it just felt like there was a gut feeling that this was the right person. And I'm so glad that she did it, because she was really supportive and fun, and she's been making movies for a really long time, so I learned a lot, and she took care of the other actors. And with Jack, I've known him since he was 4 years old. So a part of my elementary school program was like you had to mentor a younger grade when you're in the 6th grade. So I mentored Jax, and I remember him as he was like a little tyrant. And then
didn't you babysit for him?
Yeah, I guess that was sort of like, kind of me babysitting him. I'm 7 years older than him, so, but I've always seen him in it, kind of growing up, and I had gotten to know Val really well working on my grandpa's movie Twixt, and Jack kind of visiting the set every now and again. But I was auditioning a lot of kids, and I just had dinner with him randomly, and he was just really captivating, because he was a normal 17-year-old kid. He wasn't interested in acting at all, and he just has a very natural kind of quality about him that you just kind of want to watch him, and I think just acting is in his blood, maybe.
Sometimes newcomers are better than people who have been acting a long time, who've learned bad habits.
Yeah, but I mean, and then with Nat, that was a super hard role. How do you find a young actor to play that really challenging kind of character? And we just hit it off. I mean, he didn't audition or anything. He just kind of got the script and mentioned my references without me even having to say it. And he's nothing like his character in person. But I think just a lot of it was just trusting my gut, and thankfully I was right. And him and Jack had a great real friendship, and they lived at my mom's house while we were shooting, and so we were just like a family.
So were you real nervous on the first day? I mean, were you confident that you could do this?
I was so eager to do it, because it had fallen apart so many times that it reached a point where when I was on the first day of shooting, I didn't believe it, because I kind of had went through all the motions kind of believing that it was going to fall apart again. So then I kind of got really nervous on that first day, like, oh my God, I'm here and don't know what to do. But it was a collaboration. We were just all having a lot of, they brought a lot at the table with improvising and keeping it fun and new with the scenes, but
So how many takes would she do? What kind of would
we
she?
only had time for like 3 at a time.
Yeah, we would only do a few takes, and each take was different, which is what was so fun, especially the scenes when it was like a lot of us like at the parties. We would always be like trying new stuff, and it kept it like fresh and fun, and nothing ever got like stale because we were under time constraints, which almost is like a blessing in disguise sometimes with movies like this, because you're like, you know what, it's better that we can't overthink it. Like we're just kind of going with it and seeing where it takes us.
And it was a lot of improvisation. Like the scene would, almost all the scene. I can't think of a scene that there wasn't some improvisation. But I feel like it was always 3 or 4 takes, even with the scenes that were totally improv.
Yeah, we had to move fast, so we really only had time for 3 takes a scene, pretty much.
Let's look at another clip. I think we have one more. Well, let's open it up for some questions. There's some people roaming around with green shirts and mics, so raise your hands.
You've come so far, and you've done so much great stuff. Like, how have you grown as an actress, and how does it feel being incredible?
Thanks. It's the nicest thing anyone said to me all week. No, it's amazing. I mean, I'm so lucky that I get to keep doing movies that I love, and especially this one. This was like such a special one for me, and one that I was like so passionate about and wanted to be a part of so much, and really like gave my all to, and got to work with Gia, who I'd always wanted to work with, and the rest of the cast, who's amazing. And I mean, James Franco, I'd been a fan of his forever. So yeah, it's surreal, and it's really cool to like be here with this film, because I think it felt like surreal to us what she was saying when we were filming, and so now it's like done, and yeah, it's amazing.
Hi, I saw the movie yesterday and loved it. One thing I thought was so beautiful were all the rooms were so distinct, and like from the Virgin Suicides poster to like the doll with her like legs sprawled open, were those like all planned ahead of time, or did that just kind of happen naturally?
It was all kind of, some of it was all kind of in the moment, but I looked at like Instagram of what was going on in like teenagers' bedrooms for visual references, and Jack's character's bedroom is in his real bedroom, and
mine's yours.
And yeah, my bedroom has stayed the same since I was a teenager, so we use that for Emma's character. But I remember like loving Virgin Suicides as a teenager, and like that was just like a big poster in my room, but. Oh, I just want to add one other thing, just that, it was important to try and say a lot in the character with just what was around them in their rooms and in their clothes, and to not have to verbally describe what these characters are like, but say it in their bedrooms and set designs and stuff like that.
Did you turn to Sophia or any members of your family? You've worked with her before too.
I've worked on my family's sets when I was younger, and I grew up kind of in that environment, and so I've learned a lot just kind of being around them and observing them. But this was James's book, and it's his production company, so I really got the luxury to lean on him and have his support and guide me in all this. I really wanted to try and figure out on my own and make my own mistakes, and so.
Hi, Emma. Do you think, because like you started so young with like Unfabulous, which is like our like childhood like that we grew up on, do you think that like helped you as an actor because you got to start so young and it was just normal for you? You didn't try to really have to like break in and like be an adult. When you're an adult, everything is more scary. Like when you're a kid, you're just like go for it.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember like when I was younger and I was acting, I would I would do anything, like nothing would ever embarrass me. You have like no inhibitions, and then as you get older, you start becoming like more self-aware. So that's definitely something I've dealt with getting older. But I love acting, and to have done it since I was so young, it's great because I've had like a lot of experience, and I also know like the kind of things I want to do and the kind of things I don't. So yeah, it's been cool.
Hi, Emma. My question is, aside from this movie, what's your favorite, like your personal favorite project that you've worked on?
I mean, honestly, my favorite projects, well, recently have been this and American Horror Story have been probably the two that I've most enjoyed working on, and especially this one because, like I said, it was kind of like the dream project that I wanted, and it somehow worked out, which is always great when that happens.
For The Art of Getting By and Hotel for Dogs, what were Freddie Highmore, Jake T. Austin, and Don Cheadle like from your point of view?
They're really good. They're really great. They were really fun to work with. I mean, I've been lucky and gotten to work with really great people. And yeah, Freddie Highmore's someone I loved working with. He's adorable.
Getting a chance to make a movie that examines roughly your generation or maybe a little younger. For the three of you, can you talk about what you think about the state of today's generation of teenagers? Are they going through is it the same cycle, or is there something unique that they're dealing with being with all the technology and everything?
It's definitely, it was something I was kind of figuring out when working on this script is like, how do I involve all this technology that is such a part of being young today? But that's a whole nother story that just wasn't a part of James's book, and a whole kind of another reality that isn't very visually interesting, or I'm not really sure how to convey. So I'm curious how other directors are going to start involving that, because it's such a part of everyday life now. But I feel like this movie is really just about those sort of growing pains of being that age group and kind of those universal emotions. So I was just trying to go for that and I think that's sort of universal in any kind of generation. And I know that my older relatives are like, I was embarrassed to show them this film, and then they're like, please, like, what do you think was going on when we were young? So
I would love to have them answer that question too, if that's possible. Would you?
Do you want me? Yeah, I mean, I would say I think one of the cool things about this movie too is it doesn't, it exists kind of on its own. I feel like somehow, I mean, I think there's like two shots of an iPhone or something in there, but mostly it seems like it's a movie that kind of just exists in its own world. It's called Palo Alto, but it's not really the place doesn't really define. It's really just about, for me, I think it's really just about the characters. And that's why I think I've had a lot of people who are like my parents' age come up to me and say, I knew somebody just like your character. I really related to it, because I think the movie is just that time of your life is so special and painful. So I think everybody, people still go to see those movies, and you wonder why. And I think it's because, it means a lot to people. Things mean more to people when you're a teenager than they do when you grow up.
That's so true.
Emma, when you were doing American Horror Story, was it like difficult doing all the mean scenes?
It was fun. It's fun to play characters sometimes that are not likable. And I think it's interesting to watch. I always kind of the bitchy character sometimes, or like the villain. That's kind of like the fun roles to play, and then it's good to like balance it with roles like this where I'm like the kind of nice, younger, innocent kind of girl. So I like doing both. I think it's fun.
I'm curious what you guys feel about the state of independent film right now, as opposed to the kind of opportunities that are available on television. Are you guys interested one way or the other? Or talk a little bit about where your taste goes, where you think the interesting work is happening.
I mean, I think both.
Yeah, I think both too. Yeah.
I've been doing both, and I've been lucky where I've done some movies, and then I've been on American Horror Story, and I absolutely love being on that show, and the material's great, and it's really fun. But then you come across amazing scripts like something like this, and these movies that are like are special and are going to be something great. So I think it's, at least for me, I love being able to go back and forth, and I'm lucky enough where I've been able to do that recently.
And what do you guys have coming up? Talk about your next projects and what you're working on. Nat?
I'm in The Fault in Our Stars, which is a movie that comes out in June.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's good. I got to see it.
Based on the book?
Yeah,
right?
Based on the book, The Fault in Our Stars. And I play a guy who goes blind, and it's funny. But it's I have that coming out, and then I'm doing. I'm gonna work with Emma again. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I think we're gonna work together again. And then I'm also doing a movie called Paper Towns by the same author as
cool.
John Green. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to play the dude in that.
How about you?
That's
But I can see in that movie.
I gotta follow that up. I'm just right now. I'm going back to American Horror Story next season, so waiting for that in July, and I can't wait. I don't know what I'm going to be doing on it yet, but which is kind of nerve-wracking. But hopefully something as fun as last season.
And have you got something in the works?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been writing, but it's a longer process than it is for an actor. Like, I've been with this movie for so much longer, and then they've just like gone and off and done other things. But so
You
yeah,
say it like we cheated on you.
I know it kind of feels like that.
This is our favorite.
Yeah.
So Tribeca, you've played here, right?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Yeah, it was fun. We had a great time last night.
It was really cool.
All right. Are there more questions out there?
Hi, Nat. My question is for you. Was it hard for you to transition from the Naked Brothers Band show to more serious movies?
I mean, honestly, a great role model for my transition is Emma. You know, who did the
We were on
basically the
Nickelodeon
exact
together.
same thing. I knew Emma when I was 12 and she was 14, and there's a funny picture was where I'm smaller than her, and I've
Now he's
really
2 feet taller than me,
Yeah.
literally.
But you know, no, it's just been it's just been about keeping focus on doing really, working with really cool people and doing cool work. You know, I just love acting and I love playing music with my brother and stuff. So the career stuff is always going to go in and out, and you just kind of have to love it enough that you can sustain,
Hi, this question's for all of you. I was just wondering if you had any of your own favorite high school movies, and if any of those influenced you when you were making this one.
I loved the Last Picture Show, American Graffiti. There's so many great ones. What is it called? Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, I love that one.
16 Candles.
I also love the show, My So-Called Life. I loved that. That
Yeah.
was so good. I have it on DVD and watch it still.
Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks, so good.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.